My name is Erli, and this is my PIRE project, Mandarin Influence on Shanghainese Sound System. On this project, I'm working with Dr. Jeanette Van Hal, Dr. Li Fanlai, and Dr. Eric Pelzo, and also our my PIRE advisor, Dr. Tang Guo. First, what is Shanghainese? Shanghainese is a regional language spoken in Shanghai, China that is mutually intelligible with Mandarin. And currently, Shanghainese still has like about millions of speakers. And maybe people don't usually call a language with million speakers as endangered language, but this is exactly the current condition of Shanghainese. It is experiencing a gradual endangerment, and there are several reasons that lead to this gradual endangerment of Shanghainese. The first one is the Mandarin policy since 1956. This is a really important one because this is since when people just started to be required to only speak Mandarin as their standard language instead of their local languages, and this Mandarin only teaching policy since 1985. Since then, people like all the schools in China just start to just only teach in Mandarin instead of Shanghainese anymore, and then the 2010 World Expo and this consistent migration wave. Since like 100 years ago, people from other parts of China just started to come to Shanghai to look for a better living or looking for a better job. And then people just started to speak more Mandarin to each other because this is a more efficient way to communicate with each other. So the research question of this project is how exactly does Mandarin influence Shanghainese sound system? And here are two charts, including the phonemes of Mandarin and Shanghainese. And there are several phonemes only appearing in Shanghainese. So I chose several phonemes to focus on, and I circled them here in this slide. So these are the critical phonemes I focus on. The first one is the loss of nasal ng, and the loss of this he, and the shift between vu to fu, and the loss of vu, and the shift between zhe and zhe, and the shift between voiced zhe and unvoiced zhe, and the shift between fu to he and the he to vu, and the emergence of these two vowels. So to investigate the sound changes of Shanghainese, I elicited speech from native speakers of Shanghainese to test their pronunciation and their the production of Shanghainese. And 19 fluent Shanghainese Mandarin bilinguals were recruited through the Chinese message application WeChat, and all the participants were between the age of 21 and 53 at the time of recording, and they were all born and raised in Shanghai. 19 participants were divided into younger group and middle-aged group. One middle-aged participant and two younger participants' data were excluded because due to the poor recording quality. The data collection method include 5 non-interactive tasks and 2 interactive tasks. 5 interactive tasks has 2 picture naming tasks, word naming tasks, and dialogue reading tasks, and passage reading tasks. And 2 interactive tasks include word guessing game and picture guessing game. So here is a stimuli sample of the word naming task first. So basically the participant will see a word, and then they will put this word into this sentence, and they will read this aloud with in Shanghainese. And then in this word guessing game, I will ask them in Shanghainese questions in Shanghainese, like what would you think of if I say Spring Festival? And they will name all the words they think that is appropriate to this question. And picture guessing name, I will also ask a question in Shanghainese, and they will answer me, like name all the pictures they feel appropriate in Shanghainese as well. So all these tasks include the critical phonies that I want to investigate it. Yeah. So, and I am also a Shanghainese native speaker of Shanghainese as well. So everything in this project was like under Shanghainese language. So yeah. And here is the platform I use to record my participant speech. This one is called Zencaster. So on this user interface, I guess you can create three types of I would say three types of files. But the one I used was recording audio only because the other two are pretty new features. They only released this recently, so. And here are the, so I use the Pratt to analyze my data. And here are some spectrograms. I want to, oops, sorry about that. I can play the sound to everyone to hear. So the first one is Vu sound. So you can hear the very first word of this phrase is starting with the. And the second one is tiger. So this one starting with fu. So this is the second word. So I think you can hear there's a fu in there. And this is so this is the last word. I think we can hear there's a u sound. Yeah. And the last one is this voice, the zh. But this participant pronounced it as the n voice, the sh. Yeah. Okay. So here, basically this table shows how often the participants pronounce the target sound correctly. Yeah. So here we have the younger group and the middle-aged group under non-interactive task, and the younger group and the middle-aged group under interactive task. And these numbers, oops, sorry about that. And these numbers are like how often they pronounce this nasal sound correctly. This is the full table, like this table just includes all the phonemes I investigated. So I will just focus on this one later. But overall, the speech of middle-aged speakers was more Shanghainese-like, but the younger speakers produced the critical tokens in a more Mandarin-like manner for all sounds except for fu. Fu is here. And this pattern was present in both the non-interactive and the interactive settings. This age difference appears more prominent for this nasal ng, vu, u, and the zhe, than for this he sound. So here are the two tables, including more details for the shifts of vu and the zhe. So I think like I mentioned before, the shifts between zhe to zhe and zhe to she. In this project, we also discovered some other shifts other than these two, like including ye and the che. And we can see here, middle-aged people did not pronounce this che at all, but only younger group like pronounce these sound. So this is arguably the influence from Mandarin leading to this, the creation of this new sound and also this ye one. Yep. So the conclusion is these sound changes in Shanghainese are taking place in different directions at different rates. Some shifts become more Mandarin-like sounds, while some others remain stable. Overall, Mandarin has a great impact on Shanghainese sound changes. And that is because of the societal changes that happen in Shanghai during the past decades. So what I learned from doing this project, I definitely learned a lot from Dr. Van Hel and Dr. Li Fanlai and Eric Pelzo. So they taught me how to use Pratt and how to do acoustic analysis properly. Though I'm still new to this acoustic analysis, but I am now way better than I was before. And I know I learned how to use Zencaster and how to connect VPN because, you know, the firewall. So firewall. And then I also learned how to design study and create stimuli materials. And I also want to thank Dr. Jeanette Van Hal, Eric Kozo, and Li Fan Lai, and Dr. Tomei Guo for their patient advising and support through this project, and National Science Foundation for their financial support. And I also want to thank Mrs. Heather Mann and Mrs. Marianne Sinawa for their patient help, and also the whole PIRE faculty team throughout this process. And here's a reference. Okay, I think I'm done.
Thank you, Erli. Very good. We have time for questions and comments.
I'll jump in here. This is really interesting data. Thanks for sharing that with us. I'm wondering what you think explains why some changes are proceeding faster than others, and why some maybe aren't changing at all. What explains that complexity?
I think some songs they're just like they're changing because sorry, maybe that's me. The internal changes of the language, like the language, it just changes throughout time. And some other songs, maybe they're like more similar to Mandarin than the others, and then people would just like be confused because they're receiving more Mandarin input than Shanghainese. So they're like, wait, why these two sound so similar? Maybe I should like use this Mandarin one instead of Shanghainese one. So for example, the sound like the nasal sound, maybe you guys don't remember, but that nasal sound was like really, really stable. Like almost everyone can pronounce it correctly. And that one is just only existing in Shanghainese, and maybe, but the voice, the zhe sound is like very similar to the G sound in Mandarin. And people just messed that one up a lot. So I'm thinking maybe that's why like the similarities between Mandarin and Shanghainese is one of the reasons people may pronounce it more Mandarin-like instead of Shanghainese-like. But in contrast, if it's very clear that it's a Shanghainese sound, then people may pronounce it like more Shanghainese, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a similar question. And that is, when you were looking at which sounds changed and which sounds didn't, did you ever see any evidence of like, I mean, anecdotal evidence even of like taboo avoidance, such as like this sound seems like it would have followed the sound change pattern, but there was a bad word there. So they like, you know, the sound change didn't happen. Sometimes.
Sound change didn't happen. Yeah, I think so. Like, let me see my chart. Oh, yeah. So the he sound, if you remember, like I expected people to pronounce it much more than what they do. They actually do what I actually have here. But the truth is like there is almost no people actually pronounce it. So that one is like really quite tricky, and it's hard to hear and hard to see on the spectrogram as well. So that one is really tricky. Yeah.
So from a sociolinguistic standpoint, is there any stigma associated to speaking Shanghainese with Mandarin traits, or is it more prestigious, or do people notice it? How does that play out?
I think now in the past, so people just feel like, so like my parents said her cousin coming from Beijing to Shanghai, and when she went out to a mall or something, if she couldn't speak Shanghainese, then people would just ignore her, like 30 years ago. But that's not the case anymore now. I mean, this is a good thing, like people do not like discriminate other people, but in the other like, but the prestige of Shanghainese is declining through the years. So nowadays people are just like, why do I have to speak Shanghainese if I can communicate well in like Mandarin? Because people around me are all speaking Mandarin. Why do I need to do that? Why do I need to learn that? So yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Other questions?
Just a quick one. I'm just wondering if you have any like plans or thoughts on what you'd like to do maybe next with the work, or what you were, you know, what goals you've achieved through your findings. Fascinating.
Oh, you mean next? Okay, so I'm thinking with this data, I still want to like look for how, like the speech perception and something like that. Yep, with this data. Thank you.